Hello, Kim and
Hi
Ginger.
there.
Welcome to
Hey.
the Kim and Ginger show. Right. So, what we decided to do is I'll do a little cap on what we're going to talk about today. Sorry we've been missing for so long. I've just been so busy. Um, all right. So, Ginger, what we're talking about today for you? What are your subjects?
Oh, for me, 404 file not found, a little phrase that keeps coming to mind when looking at the state of the world that we're in, like, the lack of customer service and that type of thing.
Okay.
And also a little bit of astrology.
Okay.
But
All
that's
right.
a pretty big deep dive, the 404 file not found. Like what is going on? The world has changed.
All right. So, I want to talk about the fact that we're halfway through the year, so this is a turning point. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Oriah Mountain Dreamer, the invitation. I want to talk about what it is to be a lighthouse and talk to you a bit about musings over Ginger's video that she put up a couple of days ago. Give you links to that. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about a truth seeker video. Not seek,
Thruthstream,
truth
Thruthstream
stream.
media.
Going to give you links to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the new moon. So, where we're going to start with this is 404 file not found. Um,
Well, you've got
I'm
a little
gonna.
video to
I've got a
show, don't
tiny
you,
little
Kim?
video to show you. Um, just gotta find it. Hold on. Where is that? Where is that? It's in here. Right. It's in Facebook, and I'm giving you a link to this too. I hope you can hear the sound with this. I think
Oh yeah, I hope so.
I've got to share the sound, haven't I? Got to share. Yeah. Sorry. I don't remember how to do this. It's so long since I've done it.
I think you have to share your screen too, Kim.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Share my screen.
I'm so grateful you're driving because
Share.
I'd be lost.
I haven't done it for a long time.
Likewise.
Share sound. Share sound. Yay, I found it. Oh, I
Look at
lost it.
us go.
Hold on. Sorry about this. There you go. Share sound. Okay, I'm sharing sound. So here we go.
Answer the phone because there's like nobody here. No, I don't work here, but the phone's ringing and ringing, and I know how it feels to be on that other end and nobody answers. But I will. No, I'm just a customer looking for somebody to help me. Actually, I'm looking for a bell to ring over here. I can't even find a bell. Yeah, but we're still waiting for somebody. You want to hang up and try back in a little while? All right. You're welcome. Have a good night. Bye.
That's
All
great.
right. So basically, the reason that's kind of what we're talking about, the fact that there's nobody there. That there's no you go onto a website to talk to somebody and there isn't a phone number anymore.
If you can find the website, the
If you can,
results are oftentimes skewed. Like it's buried deep, and you're lucky if you can find it.
so it's kind of what Ian Lungold was talking about years ago, in relation to the main calendar and this you get to the stage where you can't make a choice because there is so much information that you can't choose because it's just too big.
Yes.
So, um, can you tell me about Bob's thing that you were telling me about?
I was watching a video the earlier. I'm not sure. It might have been with Truthstream Media, but it might have been in that video that we're sharing. But it was very interesting to see that this person did a live demonstration. They showed how they were putting in a simple query into popular search engines, and and how the results showed, say, 400 results. Meanwhile, if you look very closely, you'll see fine print at the bottom, and it says, "Did you want to see all the results or the most?" So yeah, I want to see all the results. And suddenly there's like a billion hits. There was 400, and now there's a billion. And so she gets to the last page of what she's been given, and she clicks on that, And immediately the page refreshes and it goes back to 400 results. And it was all top 500, like the biggest companies that were weighing in on these hot topics that they were asking about. So I found it very interesting, and it's nothing that we don't already know. We see that the sponsored ads get to go first, and the ones that pay the most win.
Yeah.
They buy the bots, they buy the clicks. I think it's estimated to be about 60% bots and 40% people. And I think that that's generous.
I'm finding personally that there are no answers. Everybody just wants you to wait, or just says, "Well, we're dealing with that. We'll just get you to wait for months."
Yeah.
And you wonder if there's ever going to be a conclusion, even in serious matters, even in serious issues. However, the other side of it is, to me, which is sort of connected, is that this year has been manic for me. I mean, I've just had things happening, boom, 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 and huge things, big things, and like moving house, for instance. I'm in a different house now, but the house move sort of happened like it just flowed. I mean, one minute I'm telling Ginger I'm selling the house, and the next minute I'm moved.
Yeah,
And I,
it
I must,
happened very fast. It was the fastest move I think I've ever seen,
and
and I'm really impressed
no,
how you managed that.
I was going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 5. That's how I managed it, and I was just working right the way through, working right the way through, working right the way through, and I just, it was like a centering down. It was like and the centering down actually made me feel like I was really selfish. Like I couldn't talk about your stuff because I had to center down on me. So you shut up for the moment because it's all about me right now.
It's natural, Kim. We get to a point where we have to be, this is why I think it's important for us to be protective of our energy, because we've only got we do have a limited supply.
Yeah,
And especially if we're burning a lot of energy, you've got to give yourself rest. You can't give more than you're receiving. And you just simply can't pour from an empty cup. When you're running that kind of energy on, 24/7, it sounds like, you've got to be very protective of where you put it.
yeah, yeah. And then we also talked a little bit about how us as light workers, suddenly I've gone through phases of intense anger and vocalization and finding ways to express that anger to the correct channels and standing up for myself, which I don't think that was a common part of who I was before. I think I was a bit mincy. If I look at myself 10 years ago, I was a bit like, yeah, okay, you're doing that to me, but that's okay. Um, and now we've got to the point of there's a word you used the other night, which was not acceptance. It's like surrendering,
Surrender.
surrender. So
Yeah.
you go, okay, well, this is not working, so I'm going to surrender. I don't have to be right. I don't have to know
That's
what
right.
I'm doing. I've said my piece and I don't have to be right. And now it's time for me to take a backstage on this because it's not working for me. It's not working for me energetically. So you probably have no idea what I'm talking about with this, but it's on a
Well, no,
general
but
level.
I think you're speaking to it very well, actually. Carry on, go with it.
So it's like this again. You remember that chaotic go with the flow picture? I'll find it and show it to you because I love it. Oh, it.
I believe it's something that a lot of people are experiencing at this moment.
Me in the flow. Was it called Me in the Flow? No, Me in the Flow. No, that's a picture of you. That's not me in the flow. I had this picture a few months ago I showed you where it's just like this huge torrent of water spinning down and me sitting on, or you or anybody sitting on this surfboard, and it's just said in the flow, you know,
In the
and
flow.
that's what it feels like. So secondly, I'd like to talk, I didn't mention this, but on my
Well, I think in the
birthday,
act of surrendering, you're acknowledging that that energy is existing, and that you've done everything you can to shift the energy. The surrendering is allowing it to move through you. You're not resisting it anymore. You know,
yeah,
because we get into these squabbles, these energetic dances where something has to give, and
yeah,
we have to know when to tap out. Let
yeah,
it just let it be what it's going to be. It's not mine, and then cut the cords.
okay.
Surrender,
So
truly surrender.
on my birthday, which was back on the 9th of June, I was coming back on the ferry and there was this sunset, and I'm just showing you this picture of the sunset. So I'm sitting on this ferry and I'm thinking, wow, I can see two phoenixes in that. I can see one phoenix in the white clouds and another phoenix in the black clouds.
That's beautiful.
And I don't know whether it's just my imagination that can see that or whether other people can see that. But I thought
It's,
it was symbolic of that whole concept of the rejuvenation and and the light and the dark. The dark's allowing itself to be expressed now.
yes,
That essentially the part of us that was gagged before. It was gagged before because we were light workers. I think that
yes,
part of that dark energy in us, that part of us where it wasn't okay for us to be outspoken, it wasn't okay for us. I think that is now, there's an equality between the light and the dark. So it's like we're embracing the darker aspects of themselves and voicing them too. It's okay.
yes,
It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be um, even even egotistical. It's okay to be egotistical. I mean, it's been like a no, 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 that sounds egotistical. No, if I can name it and I can say, right, this sounds egotistical, but I'm going to say it anyway because of these past period of time, we've been taught that we've got to suppress all this stuff, and actually, that's not
yes.
right either.
That's
Just
toxic
recognize it.
positivity. That's
Yeah,
compliance and toxic positivity. And if you're truly a free spirit, that's detestable. It's intolerable. It feels like chains, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It does.
That's not, we're not here to agree to that. So when we say things like it is what it is, ugh, it sounds like we're accepting things that can't be accepted. We can't keep doing that
Yeah,
because it takes its toll. I feel it really takes its toll. It becomes very heavy, and it's what's blocking the heart chakra,
yeah,
because the heart is I see the heart as the earth or the mid garden, the Midgard. And it's that energy that's being very protective of you. You're going to tell me I'm, not worth listening to. That darkness in us is within all of us. We have this world of duality, the yin yang. We are both. And to deny one is again, they're divide and conquer. So we can't be divided this way. We have to accept ourselves as a whole.
yeah,
But within reason, we don't want to go around, smashing people. We want to work with both energies, use that roar, and but do it in a way that's kind of comical.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you can, if you
yeah.
can, I mean, I think keep it as light as you possibly can. So yeah, whatever works for you.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is your video. You put a video up about a week ago.
This was a big deep dive.
Okay, so we're not going to really talk about, we're just going to give a brief overview of what's in the video.
Yeah, there's a lot of astrology talk because we're in a very potent time right now. And I feel like it's always potent, but it's unusual to have two full moons in the same sign back to back. So we're right in the middle of two super moons in Capricorn. And the next one is coming up in a few weeks' time. I think it's July 21st.
So
And so with that, we're supposed to be purging or harvesting whatever it is from what we planted when the moon was new in Capricorn back in January. So time traveling, I read my journal from that time to get an idea, and I read it without reviewing it. It was all done live, and I hesitated whether or not to share it. And then I said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead because I think that it's quite relevant in terms of understanding why it matters when we put those ideas to work, when we give our attention to something, and especially on the cusp of the new moon tomorrow in Cancer. So what is it that you want to manifest? What is it that you want to harvest? In the garden, the seed goes in when the moon is new and the month is new, and then you harvest it when it's full and when the bud is full. That's the harvest. And
so
so that happens
that's 6 months,
6 months apart. Six
right?
months.
So
Yeah. So
currently,
it's a bit of a look at that. And yeah, I think it's an interesting time to watch those count the moon clock as we have that double moon.
I've got this theory that the full moon is like a spotlight, right? And
Yes.
because it's the full moon comes out in the darkness. So to me, it's a spotlight on the darker aspects of Capricorn, right?
Yes, at
So
this time. Yes.
so at this moment in time, we've got this full moon focusing, shining light on the darker aspects of Capricorn. Now the so that's like revelation of governments or oligarchies or controllers or leaders, or so it's like, oh wow, um it's like seeing the darker side of it, the darker side of the control, and it's the control from the bigger picture. So what's been highlighted to us now, I think, are the aspects where the control system's not working, where the flaws are appearing, where the cracks are appearing, and our outspokenness towards that not working for us. Okay.
Yes.
And
This is also 10th house, so another magician energy, if you will. So one
okay,
and zero is one. So it's hidden. It's what's hidden.
it's
The
what
parts
hidden.
that we have been having a hard time looking at.
Yeah. And we're looking at them now. And then
Yes.
what actions we take now, according to your theory, will come about in 6 months from now. So
That's my
that'll
belief based on my gardening practices. Yes.
so that'll be the end of November or the middle of November, right? Right.
December, actually, because it would be December 21st, I believe, right on the solstice.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
It is
Right.
powerful.
Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was
Oh, one of the Capricorn moons was also on the summer solstice.
oh,
So
really?
the full moon that we've already experienced was on the solstice. That was in
Okay.
Capricorn. And then there's another one coming up in Capricorn again.
All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the lighthouse. So
Yeah.
I know somebody, I know a few people like this actually, but um, I know somebody who is a lighthouse. And what I mean by being a lighthouse is that when you got a lighthouse, right, the light moves around like that slowly, but it moves around like that and it goes around all the way and it goes around all the way. So it's shining light on a particular aspect. And I know somebody who is very, very good at that. It's a woman and she beams. She absolutely inspires people and brings people alive. And but the thing is that when she does that, she generally doesn't keep her focus on that one person. She'll beam that one person, and then she'll move on to the next person, and she'll move on to the next person, and she'll move on to the next person, because her world is such that she's been contacted by so many people. And I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and I was saying that what actually happens with this is you leave the person that you've beamed the light on hungering for more.
Yes.
So they want more interaction with you, but you're actually over beaming your light in that direction, and you're trying to flick this person away like a fly. It's like, okay, well, I beamed, and now I want you to go away now because I've moved. My beam's moved, and I want you to go away and leave me alone, please, because I'm not still beaming in your direction. And it's almost like narcissistic in a way, isn't it?
No, I think it's protective.
Okay.
I think, as I said, you can't carry it all. You have to protect your energy. And when you're given opportunity to have those encounters, I call it a nudge. You know, you could be in Walmart and you don't expect it. Like, you know, like that lady answering the phone. Suddenly she's worrying about somebody on the other end of the phone.
But she's
You
just a
know, being
customer.
bothered, not just one person, but two people, you know, and I don't know how to help, but I'm here for you. You know,
There's no
like
bell I can ring.
it happens to a lot of us, and some of us are fully unaware and we're not picking it up. We don't, you know, we're in our own little world, but some of us are really tuned in and we care about how other people are doing. And,
Yeah.
you know, but I think you can't carry it all. You got to be very selective. You got to wash it off. You got to surrender it and say, you know, shift it if you can, help them, you know, guide them, give them a little bit of insight to help them help themselves. So hopefully they're not seeking your light.
But I don't think that the people that are beaming know that they're beaming.
Absolutely true. Because we're in the shadow.
Right. So if you're a person out there that beams, the only way that you would know you beamed is by people telling you that you've helped them.
Yes.
That you've helped. You might not have any idea how you've helped them, but you've helped them, and they've told you that you've helped them. So if you're a beamer, keep on beaming, I'll say,
Keep doing it.
regardless of the feedback you're getting, regardless of, just keep doing it, because you feel like, I mean, it's kind of a bit like this channel, I suppose. Like when Ginger and I often talk about, or people approach me and say to me, what do you do about all the negative comments you get?
Yeah.
I go, what negative comments? And they go, well, you know, all in the comments. And I go, I don't know that I get any. And they go, really? Oh, yeah. That's just average person on the street says that to me, you know? But it's
Well, I think a lot of people are looking for reasons to complain, and it really has shown up like keyboard warrior. Wow. You know, some of what we've seen has been, you really gotten to know humanity over the last 12 or so years. The mask is off, but they think it's on. You know, so the persona behind the person, it's a mask. It's not real, and so many people are not authentic
yeah, yeah. But
and not
also
allowed to be. Like you'd say, they've been submissive for a reason.
yeah. So just going back to the channel for a second, one of the things that we talk about is like, we're not obsessed about the number of subscribers we get, or obsessed about the number of views we get on the video, which is dropping back and back and back because we're making so few videos that we're not coming up in people's feeds anymore. And we'd have to like up that in order to come up higher on people's feeds, and people don't even know we've made a new video because we haven't done one for 3 months or 2 months or something like that. So we're not doing it so 1,000 people can look at the video. It's great if 1,000 people do look at the video. We're doing it for that one person that likes listening to us.
Well, and you and I have both heard some really wonderful, wonderful comments. We've read some wonderful comments. We've had wonderful discussions with some of our viewers.
I know,
And,
I
you
know.
know, really know that like you said, Kim, it doesn't have to reach thousands. It only has to reach one. And even if it doesn't reach one today, down the road, when the time is right, I just trust that if we're speaking it, it'll be found by those that need to find it.
Exactly.
If it resonates, it's a
Exactly.
vibration. It's a vibration, and you
So
can't
this,
stay still. If you're vibrating high, you're going to keep growing and expanding and moving, and it's a dance.
so this is our lighthouse.
That's it. That's our
Okay.
lighthouse. Claudio has a lighthouse too,
Claudia has that,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Claudio has a lighthouse. There's many lighthouses, and I take a lot of comfort in that. I know that there's some outspoken people about we're gonna figure it out. I don't know how, but I feel I've got a little crystal ball, so maybe I just need to spend a little time with my crystal ball.
I can see stuff in that. Wow. I can
Can you see
I can see your future. I can
it?
I can I can see something like a what can I say? It looks like an atomic bomb.
Oh no.
Maybe there's going to be
Where's the
some sort of
kaboom? Where's the
uh,
kaboom?
looks like the cloud from the atomic bomb. All right,
Yeah.
well, there you go. By the way, that's symbolic, not actual.
No,
When I
no,
talk,
absolutely.
it's not actually an atomic bomb. It's symbolic of some sort of upheaval or explosion.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So I am going to read this out to you. Probably, I don't know, some of you will have heard me rabbiting on about this over the years, but I was talking to Ginger about it last night, and there was a part of it I really wanted to center down on. So it's a poem by somebody called Oriah Mountain Dreamer, and this particular copy of it is from the cheiksite.com. But it actually was written, it's called The Invitation, and it was written by Oriah Mountain Dreamer, and it's part of a book. I'll link the book at the end of the video. So, right, he goes, it doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for. If you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for your adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you've touched the center of your own sorrow, if you've been opened by life's betrayals, or become shriveled and closed from fear or further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful or to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours or mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver moon, yes! It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Did I read that to you last night, Ginger?
No, that's beautiful. It's really, really deep. I love it.
It's
Well
beautiful.
written.
It's lovely,
Who's
isn't
the
it?
author, Tim?
Oriah
Who's
Mountain
the
Dreamer.
beautiful?
She wrote a book called The Invitation. I read the book, but I prefer the poem. You know, I'm very keen on doing things in the bardic tradition, reading something and then doing your own interpretation on it rather than somebody else's.
Yes.
So I'm not dissing the book in any way. I'm just saying I really love the poem. So
I can see why. Well, the poem speaks to you. I will have to see about the book. I'm curious about both now.
okay, so there's a section of this poem that really bothered me for a lot of years, because this poem came to me back in maybe 2000, and there's a section of this poem that I didn't agree with, and that was, it doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. So that bit didn't make sense to me. And I asked my angels and my guides, because I said to them, the truth's really important to me. Truth and trust to
Yeah,
me go in hand in relation to building integrity. And
absolutely.
I couldn't quite understand. It didn't quite resonate with me, that, right? So I asked my guides to bring me an example of that, of where that came true. I'm going to try and crop that bit for a sec, because it'll be relevant whilst we are. So the bit I want to crop is, doesn't interest me if the story you're telling is true. Okay, it's right in the middle. I'm just going to do that little bit and move that up. There you go. I'll just save that. I'll open it. And I'll make it bigger if I can. That'll make it bigger. All right. Maybe I can't. Okay, right. So I'm just going to crop that little bit. So at the time I was doing readings at one of these conferences. This was in Perth, and it was years ago. You know, one of these big psychic fair things. There's all these psychic readers around me. And I had this lady come in, and she sat opposite me. And the first thing I said to her was, "Are you having an affair with the doctor?" And she said, "Yes, I am." So we ended up doing that reading based on that, right? And then that woman left, and another woman came and sat in the seat. And my guide said to me, "Ask her if she's having an affair with the doctor." I said, "I just had that reading done. Can you wipe that channel, please? Because I'm not on that channel anymore. I'm on a new channel now." And my guide said, "Ask her if she's having an affair with the doctor." I said, "Are you having an affair with the doctor?" And she said, "Yes, actually, I am." I said, "I hope it's not the same doctor that the woman before, because the woman before was also having an affair with the doctor. Quickly, go and catch her up." No, anyway. I said to her, and then we got into her story, and what her story was she was about in her mid-40s, I would think. And when she was 22, her husband had dived into a swimming pool and he'd broken his neck, and he'd been a paraplegic or quadriplegic ever since. So for the last 20 something years of her life. But she'd had two children, two babies to him prior to him diving into the swimming pool. And she basically brought the two girls up, and he'd lived with her, and she'd been his carer for more than 20 years. Anyway, he'd recently, a year ago, he got a new doctor, and her and the doctor were having an affair, a really, really fantastic, exciting affair. And she'd come to the conclusion that she was going to leave her husband. And her children had told her, both girls had told her, that if she left the dad, they wanted nothing more to do with her.
Wow.
And she was in a quandary. And
Yeah.
and then I I gave her this section. I gave her this poem, and I highlighted this section of it. And I'll read it to you again. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. And
That's a great story, Kim. Like the example that you shared, plus that piece, I can see why you stayed with it for a long while.
It was a really predominant moment because I'd asked the guides to explain it to me because I really didn't get the context of that particular part of the poem. And I had other examples of different parts of the poem coming to light at different times of my life in different examples. But I won't go into that right now. I'll shut up for now
But
and
then
let you talk for a bit.
you're then reminded of this piece, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's like you get these little hits and it's like, oh gosh, here we go again. It's that thing again. It's that energy again.
yeah, exactly. Right. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think we covered most everything except for the Mandela. We chatted briefly about how, I have the curiosity about whether or not the whole Mandela thing was deliberate. And I think it'd be interesting to sort of check each other's search engines. So if you're in the same house, and you put the same back to the, 404 limited results, file not found um, part. What if we're getting different results in the same household? You know, then you've got a disagreement. You've got that old divide and conquer thing.
Yeah, and
So
you
if
don't know where the other
Mandela
person's
is
coming from.
no, that's right. You're looking at them like my son, I often say, he says, Mom, that's on Rick and Morty. Like I think, holy Hannah, I'm having this big aha moment. And he says, no, no, that was on episode number Rick and Morty. And it's astounding to me because it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. And it's like, this is so weird. It's like the same energy was shown to us and I've never seen this show, until he shows me these moments and it's undeniable.
I'm actually personally having a very similar experience to that. I don't know whether I can go into it too much because I'm sort of gagged on it, but maybe I can explain it in a sort of vague way where just to say, for instance, if I was to have a job,
Yeah.
um, and I was finding this job very difficult because all of the jobs I was getting in this job were taking me hours and hours to do. But somebody else has the same job and somebody else has somebody watching them do that job. And it's taking them minutes to do something it's taking not the same thing, but it's like the jobs I'm getting are really complicated and the jobs they're getting are really easy. So why are they in
Wow.
the easy stream? And I'm not really talking about, I'm just saying, why am I in the easy stream and why are they in the hard stream? And why, when you're doing the same job, are the two streams completely and absolutely disparately opposite?
Well, I mean, astrology has answered that question for me a little bit. And so there's that. And, again, it's a vibration, it's how we react, I think, overwhelmingly, because we are creating and we are manifestors, I believe. And we're constantly doing it, whether we're aware of it or not. So I think that when we think about it and then feel it and then add fire, so you've got your air, your water, fire, that's a phoenix moment to me. When you get those three together working, simultaneously, you get your thoughts and your feelings together and you create with that energy. That's
Exactly.
that's the that's how
So
it's done.
my language, and you've been on this journey with me, is I can't do this. I just can't do this. I don't know why, but I can't do this. And you said
Yes.
to me last week, change your language, change your background. Say to yourself, you know what? I can do this. This is easy. I can do this, rather than, and that's what you're talking about. Like we're manifesting our own reality by the difference between telling ourselves we can't do something because it's too hard,
Yes,
and then changing our language to, hold on, I'm in acceptance of this. Not acceptance is the wrong word. I've surrendered to
surrender.
this, but I can
Yes,
do this. And that,
yes,
and it put that surrendering and that acceptance that you can do it, puts you in a different stream.
yes,
So
yes. And
on
it's
top,
just maybe I can't do it yet, so it's just really just a slight shift changes your whole perspective. And that's
and
yours. And never mind if
and
you had a room full of people. I've always said about doctors, if you want a second opinion, like buckle up, you're going to get one. They never agree.
no.
They never agree. This is why I think they don't encourage that kind of thing anymore.
Mhm. Okay, so
They never
the
agree. It's natural for us not to see the same thing. We're manifesting our own pop-up world.
yeah. So the other thing that I didn't really touch on, what I want to go back to, because I didn't mention this, is this halfway point of the world. Now, you see my dragon spiky on the dream here
It's
on the
beautiful.
screen.
Mhm.
So currently, my world has been absolutely chaotic. This world, and here am I on the back of Psyche riding the dragon, right? But the dragon's not like going like this. He's actually going like this and going right the way down. And then and then I've got off the screen. So he's going right the way down and then he's coming back up and he's soaring right to the top. Um, and one of the key components to this ride is absolutely no fear. If I get to a point where I am frightened, like when I started out on this move, I swore to God I was going to write a book on how to move without money. How to move house without money was going to be the title of my book, because
You
I had
manifested.
just I just went with this ridiculous. I mean, why would you want to even move when you've got no money?
What I can say that I observed during that time, Kim, I always say we're just waiting for us to get out of our own way. And you did that. Everything was lined up for you. You really had to work, but like it was right there for you. As soon as you were ready, it was there. Everything
Yeah,
that you needed was right there.
but it
You
was
just had to say yes,
no, it was
right?
fear. It was fear that was holding me back. So I'm thinking, well, how am I going to afford this? And how am I going to afford that? And how am I going to afford this? And how am I going to pay for the removalists? And how am I going to pay for the? It was all of these questions. I had all these questions in my mind.
And that keeps us
It
stuck.
was fear. It was fear that was keeping me stuck because I didn't know how it was all going to happen. But all I had to do was go, right, Spike, come on, we're taking a dive here. We're going to sign the contract. We're going to sign it. We're going to do it. And then I thought, well, I'll just write a book at the end of it on how to do it.
And
But
we also observed the waxing and the waning energy a lot during that time. It
right,
was a period of chaos, but you were able to also see how there's a time to rest and digest. So
yeah,
maybe you can't run the marathon like when you're in the waning, but you're still getting things done. It's still a very important part of the dance. It's like the dark and the light. We get to do both.
I'll, I'll tell you, part of this move, right, the day we moved was torrential rain, such
Oh,
torrential rain showers. And at the point of the move, the the furniture's in the truck. I've got to be out of the house by midday. And the truck couldn't get out of the mud. So the truck was gradually, every time it tried to get out of the mud, was leaning towards the house. And by the
oh,
time it was
geez.
finished, it was stuck in the mud that much towards the house. And me and the man that owns the removal business, who is a lovely man. Um, he looks like Paul Newman, and he's
Oh,
in his 60s. him and I were standing outside looking at this truck, pissing ourselves laughing in the pouring rain.
What are you gonna
Going,
do?
go, like we weren't freaking out.
Yeah,
We were going, like, okay, well, maybe you should stop trying to move the truck.
absolutely. Just be in the flow. We'll see how this works.
They ended up getting a
What are you
crane
gonna
to
do?
lift it out.
You don't want to be in resistance. What are you gonna
No,
do? Go push it up? You know,
yeah,
you could risk your safety. Like it's not worth it.
no,
You'd find a way.
I don't know how many ton truck it was, but it was full of shit.
You stayed so calm. Like
Mm.
it was really I was so impressed with you, Kim. Like that was quite an undertaking.
I
You
mean, I
really
just,
had your hands full. A lot of plates spinning.
yeah, I did. I had a lot of plate spinning at once. And it was this soaring of the dragon. It was this, I kept on sort of thinking, right, well, I can't have fear here. I have to
That's right.
push through that fear. I have to look at the fear and go, okay, well, you're not real, so I'm just going to push on.
What
And
you're describing to me is that you got out of the left brain and into the right brain. You got out of the left brain logic and you needing the need to know how it's gonna, you don't know.
you
That's
know,
anxiety. That's not just fear, that's anxiety. Thinking about how it could go wrong, right? You know, it hasn't even happened yet. What if it goes right?
I
You
know.
know, and then giving some faith into the mystical, magical, what a ride.
Mm,
Hey,
I
like you
know.
were on quite a magic carpet ride with Spiky there.
I was, and this is halfway through the point of the year, and I think that essentially, and I've said this before in previous years, that I think during the first 6 months of the year, what we're doing is we're having the experiences, and then during the latter 6 months of the year, we're putting those experiences into practice. So the first
Oh
6 months
yeah.
of the year are the training wheels. Then the second 6 months of the year, we're applying what we've learned.
Well, and I think that's true all the time. You know, that's why I encourage people to really get serious about what they want to focus their attention on today, tomorrow, depending on where you're at. July 5th is the day of the new moon in Cancer. So that's the mother energy. That's the energy of the crab. The crab is very protective. It's got a shell, and it's Mother Moon. It's ruled by the moon, and so it's a watery feeling sign. So, what feelings are we asked to clear and harvest and purge at this time of the new moon? Well, what do we want to plant and then prepare to purge in 6 months' time?
Okay.
What is it that we want to harvest from this moment? Like it's an opportunity to start fresh
Okay. So
and work
just
with that energy and stop opposing it.
I'm just going to tell you something about. I'm sure I've talked about the button house before, haven't I? Have I talked
I
about
believe so, but
the button
yeah, go
house?
ahead.
Okay. So I know this woman, and this woman was very badly hurt. She was very badly hurt by life betrayals. She was extremely dynamic. She actually worked as an air hostess for one of the major airlines. And on the side, she built herself a, I don't even know what to call it. It's on an island, but she built herself a sort of resort. She bought these old train carriages and made a house out of these train carriages. And she lived on this massive block with a donkey, a goat, chickens. So she had all these animals around her and she grew her own food and she's really cool. Anyway, so this train carriage had she got this old kitchen and she put this old kitchen in this train carriage to make a kitchen out of one of the carriages. And
That
it
sounds
was
cool.
really old kitchen. And what she did was she bought buttons from eBay or something like that. She bought loads and loads and loads of buttons. And then she independently stuck each of the buttons onto these cupboards, on the cupboard doors and on the drawers and on the all over the place. This is like button thing, right? And then each of those buttons she cried and cried and cried and cried because each of these buttons represented a memory or a clearing or a cleansing. And then when she was finished, I mean, it's really incredible. I tried to look for a picture of it the other day because she's quite well known. I don't know whether I should show you. It's pretty out there. Anyway, so later on, during my readings and what have you, I used to tell this story to people because I used to say that I'm a really big believer that you piss all over your own house like a dog
Oh,
would.
yeah.
That you pour the essence of yourself in all over the place and you end up being surrounded by your own energy, and that you're refreshed and cleansed by that because you're surrounded by what you love.
Yes.
And therefore, it's not only inside of you, it's a reflection on the outside of you. And regardless if you're a shitty painter or not, paint a picture and stick it up on the wall, and you like it or you don't like it. Anyway.
Allowing yourself. It's just an expression of energy. You know, work with the clay, work with the garden soil. You know, see what you can create. I think it's brilliant.
So
and
this
she chose buttons as her way of expressing it. It's very nice.
Exactly. And then, so when I sold this last house, right, I was very, very, very attached to it because I think it was my button house. I think that that house, I had put so much into it, so much of myself. You know, I redesigned it with my concepts. I reformed the house. It wasn't anything like the house I bought. I did huge renovations to it, and I put all of my own taste into it. And I was really struggling with letting go of all of that. I really was very frightened of letting go of me. I didn't know why, but I was. And anyway, the night that
How long had you been there, Kim?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah. So the night that I sold the house, I had this very short, very dynamic dream. And in this dream, I was lying on the corner of my bedroom floor in a fetal position. And the door, my bedroom door slammed really loudly. And my soul left my body and I died. I died and my soul left my body. And then I woke up the next morning and I went, whoa, I think I ran that dream by you. I think I ran that dream about by a couple of people. I don't know who told me, or I came to this conclusion myself. I can't remember. So if somebody told me out there, and I'm not giving you a credit, sorry, but the conclusion I arrived at was that was the death of the soul was the death of the portion of my soul that had been custarded by the button house, and that the death was symbolic of that part of that pain being released, the part of the cleansing that that house had given me, and that the
That's
house
beautiful.
was setting me free. The house was saying, it's okay for you to go. That's the end of the
It really
journey.
was a transformative time. Like, I think that's when Pluto was making her move too. And my house was under renovation while you were going through all that. We were both experiencing extreme change.
Can I show you the house that I sold?
Yeah, the
Would that
button
be a
house. Yeah.
problem? My button house. Okay.
What a wonderful idea. And but yes, important to eventually let go because it becomes too heavy, I think. You know, I think it's
This was my
important to not.
this was
That's your
my button
button house.
house, right? So the water was just here. The photograph doesn't really show it very well, but the water was actually right there. You can see that where I lived had a rainforest behind it. It was 2 minutes walk from the shopping centre and 2 minutes walk from the ferry, because I'm sure I've told you I live on an island that you can only get to by boat. 5 minutes walk to the ferry, 5 minutes walk to the shopping centre. There was a boat ramp at the end with a beach and really pretty area. This was the
Beautiful.
house.
Your
This was
button house.
my Burton house.
It's gorgeous, Kim.
That was my kitchen. That I renovated because originally when I bought the house, the kitchen was grey and it was facing that way, and I took the kitchen out and changed it. These French doors, I put them in. I don't know, am I going too fast? I put a bath in my bedroom because I like having baths, and there wasn't anywhere else to put it. It had that's Rod's room. It had two balconies, one upstairs and one downstairs, and I mean, it doesn't really give you a very good impression of the water view, but the water view was spectacular. It just doesn't look spectacular on the photograph. I don't know why. That's more like what it was like, actually, like that.
That's beautiful. I can see why it was hard to leave, Kim.
I loved this pebblestone effect on the bathroom floors, and they're completely non-slip, and it's just pebbles and grout. It's really
Beautiful.
cool. As you see, it was a rainforest all the way around it. That was the downstairs deck. That's the front steps. That very, very
Did you
dirty
have a lot
shed.
of encounters with the wildlife? Like we
Oh,
hear a lot
bloody hell,
of,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know whether I ever told you the story about Ashka, my dog. I'll show you.
Uh-oh.
I'll show you a picture of Ashka. I'll just get out of that. I think that's it. That's the rainforest behind, and the kangaroos used to come out of the bush here because it sort of
I
leads
wondered.
through. Little wallabies used to come out all the time. You see wallabies and a very dirty shed. That's the back. Anyway, right. So I'll just close that down for a second. And you asked about. I'll show you this. My
Well,
dog,
someone
which
else
was a
has a nice
Malamute.
new button home. While you start you've got a blank canvas, Kim. You've got
All
to
right.
start putting what you want into your own new home. That's a beautiful girl.
The boy. It was a
Boy,
boy. It was a boy.
I
And
don't know why I thought he was a girl. I'm sorry,
because he
Ashka.
looks like a girl.
Beautiful.
So Ashka,
Love
when
the
he
colors.
was 12 weeks, I got him when he was 12 weeks old. And I put him downstairs. And I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to have a pee. And here's this tiny little puppy chuntering down the middle of I could see it through the bathroom window with a cane toad in its mouth. They're highly, highly dangerous for them.
Yeah.
12-year-old puppy boldly coming down the road. Where he'd been, I don't know. And why I picked that moment to wake up, I don't know. He told me in the first night I got him that his name was Ashka and that it was symbolic for Akasha and that he'd come in to bring everything together. That was
Oh,
what he was
lovely.
here for. When he was about 16 weeks, or maybe he was 12 weeks old. Maybe I got him at 10. When he's 12 weeks old, a python, a great big python, constricted him around his middle.
Oh, wow.
On the back deck, and I was actually away, and I was in Bali at the time, but Rod was home, and Rod and my neighbor Ray came down and got the big python off him. But he was constricted by a gigantic python on the back deck.
Oh boy, that'd be terrifying.
And I
My
think
dog,
that
my little Australian Shepherd is afraid of the small garter snakes around here. It's pretty funny. We thought he'd be able to help me, identify where there might be a friend or two lurking. And he does all right, but he does it in quite a comical way. It's really funny the way he stops dead in his tracks and he's looking, and you know that there's something there, but he's afraid to investigate. So I feel like that's reason enough for me not to investigate too. Let's
is
go
that
do something else.
is that Shadow?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Shadow. Okay. Ginger's got a lot of dogs. She's got 5. You got 5 dogs?
we have 4 plus my grand dogs that visit frequently.
Okay. All right. So I'll tell you one last story about Ashka. This friend of mine visited, and she had a handbag on the floor beside her in the chair, and he stuck his nose in to a handbag. He pulled out $5 and he chunked it over to me, handed me the $5. And I looked at my girlfriend and said, "We're in training, we're working our way up to 50s." He took the $5 out of a handbag and brought it to me.
That's funny. That's
Uh,
funny. I've seen crows doing that. People training the crows.
I've seen that too. I didn't train Ashka to do that. I was just joking.
Yeah, no, it's
No.
fun.
All right. So we're halfway through the year. We're riding this dragon. The dragon's um absolutely 100% we can't be frightened. If we're frightened, we'll keep on diving.
Wrong
So
vortex, right? That's
wrong
right. You're going
vortex.
in the wrong direction. That's not that's not the goal.
Not the goal. Not the goal at all. If you go into fear, you'll sink. You'll sink really badly. And yeah,
Quickly, very
yeah.
quickly. Like our manifestations, as we become aware, that's the quickening.
And the
You know,
fear,
we've talked about that a number of times over the past year. You know, the quickening, things are happening faster now. I think
yeah,
it's because we're more aware now.
yeah,
But then likewise, it's important for us to be aware of what really the things that we want to avoid and ignore and oh no, I don't need to do that because it'll never work. Those stories that we tell ourselves, it's very important to dig those out.
yeah, yeah. So no fear and faith. Have faith.
Absolutely.
Have faith that just stand back from it and just go, you know what? There's nothing I can do about this. I'm surrendering to the situation. I give in. I I just surrender. I just let. Obviously, I'm on a path here, and just let it be, and I'm just going to ride the flow. And then
That's right.
when you're in a tributary, you know that you've gone out of the flow when you get blocks, when you get block upon block upon block upon block. No matter
Like
what,
nothing works. Nothing works. Like you're playing phone tag. You're trying to reach. You just can't connect. Take that as a sign.
take
Your
it as a
your
sign.
devices don't work. Take that as a sign. It's not meant to be.
No,
Likewise, like your move was so fluid. It was by far
it was
the one of the
terrifying.
most amazing. I bet it was, Kim. But from a distance over here, it looked like you were ready.
I tell you, I
You were ready. On some level, you were more than ready.
I
And that's what I mean by getting out of our own way, saying yes.
there is something else I'd like to say as well about that, which is, 20, 30 years ago, when you moved house, you went to see the real estate agent, she put it on the market, she sold the house, or he sold
Mhm.
the house, right? But now the expectation of the public that your house has got to be some sort of display home. But
Well, everything is CGI, AI. We're guilty. Like how many people do you know use filters? You know, eh,
yeah,
my phone, I have to turn the filters off. I don't use filters, but my phone is set that they're automatic. So if I'm taking a picture of the moon, this is why it's never what we're seeing.
yeah,
It's not the same because there's a filter over it. We've
because
got
it's
these
all
veils to
fake.
remove. Yeah,
It's
it's
all
all fake,
fake.
Kim.
It's all
All
fake.
fake.
And it comes back to the 404 file not found.
That's right.
It's all fake. It's all I mean even the Google search. I could show you a Google search where you'll actually if you type in something like I can't even think of an example, but you actually see that 2 pages in, they've given you original results that were coming up on the first page. They're actually
Yes.
pasting, copying, and duplicating the results. So there wasn't
Yes.
400 found. It was probably more like 23, but they've actually
Probably.
duplicated the same pages because it's all fake.
Well, you're
And
sure as heck not getting billions. We talked to your friend who's got our friend who's got his own. He's trying to craft his own search engine, and
right,
I think
yeah,
I can see why.
yeah,
I can see why, because you've got to be very precise. You've got to know exactly what you're looking for. I mean, it knows more about us than we do. It's
mm,
listening to us 24/7.
I
You
know,
know,
I
it's
know.
really crazy time we're in.
Okay, right. On a closing note, I just want to bring this up, which is the temperance.
Good timing.
Make it that bigger. I can make that bigger. There you go. So this is the Astromatrix deck, which I quite like. It's very like the Rider-Waite. I always like using the Rider-Waite because I think the Rider-Waite's pretty raw and untarnished. And but this temperance card slightly different. So I'd like you to talk about what you were talking about the other day about water and air.
Well, I can see there fire and water, and so there's the tempering. You know, the water will douse the fire, and yeah, it's kind of like a vortex of energy. I was told recently that the vortex happens when the air gets behind the water, and so the wings and I don't know, just the vibe. It's like it's all there.
Yeah.
In the bottom, I see the eagle, and the eagle soars high in the sky, in the air,
Mhm.
and the lion. You know, so it's like the heaven and the earth, the king of the jungle. That's where we're at. We're in the jungle.
And you think of the lion as courageous, right?
Courageous,
But you're
but
willing to
yet
put your hand in his mouth.
with the strength card. Yes, that's
Yeah,
where we're at this year.
yeah,
This year, 2024, 2 and 4 is 8.
yeah,
And so with that, you'd also want to look at the star card, the 17th card.
right.
And this card, Temperance, quite reminds me a bit of the star card, you know,
Right.
because it's a reminder to have your using all the elements, everything that's made available to you. You can see the illuminated crown above this character also. You know,
Mm,
they're not they're certainly connected. So it's like a balancing act. It's the 8 is to me, it's about strength and it's about us using it and not losing it.
yeah,
So using the fire within without needing to be hosed down. Like we don't want to have Karen moments out there, but at the same time, we need to be able to speak our truth and do so unapologetically. And this is how we change the world, I feel, you know, because we get to talk about the things that are not acceptable. We're not, you know, I don't think it's wise for us to keep saying, oh, it is what it is. No, it's important for us to address it. If it's coming to us, if it's coming to our awareness, how can we create a better model? You know,
yeah,
dream it at least. We don't have to maybe physically put our hands on it, but at least dream it. Give it some time, and especially in this new moon energy, give
yeah,
it your thought and watch what manifests by the end of the year.
yeah,
We've got this. We can do this using both energies, the fire, that's action, and the water, the emotions. So it's about allowing it to run freely. They
yeah.
fuel one another. They work very harmoniously.
I'm really going to try and do. Try and do more videos. I mean, the basic reason we haven't done it is because I've been so busy, and I know I've been talking to you, but it's even talking to you's been like here and there, you know.
I laughed one night. You said, I can't call you because we can't talk for 5 minutes. And we did, though. I think we kept it at 10. But like that was pretty remarkable. We can go for days. And but yeah,
We
no, there's been a few very short calls just checking in
yeah,
and you know, I can appreciate where you've been and why. You know, it's been important to you to make all these changes, Kim. And now what? What are you going to dive into next? I
you
guess
know,
that remains to be seen. More videos, which I think is a good thing.
yeah,
I think it's a good thing because it, you know, as we walk through it, you know, we don't pretend to have the answers. As
no,
we walk through what we're curious about and what's come to our attention, we like to hear from other people and we like to, you know, bounce it off one another and we try not to talk about these things too much in advance so that you're getting it fresh like we are.
yeah, like
You know,
we're in it.
it's
We're in it.
fun. It's fun, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're intending it to be informative and fun and yeah, it has been for me.
it has
I've
been
learned
for
a
me
lot
too.
and I appreciate these videos too.
And we're
It's
even saying
authentic.
that, yeah, okay. All right, so on that note, I'm going to shut this one down. I'm going to say to you guys out there, if there's anything at all that you're resonating with, then please share it with us. If you've got any questions, please ask us. If you want to join us, please let us know.
Love that.
You know, I mean, you don't have to show your face. If you want to come and say your bit and you're shy, you don't have to, you can just talk.
You can get a nice dragon like Spiky.
Exactly. Exactly. You can get a nice dragon like Spiky and just come soaring with us and come and dance with us and come and talk with us.
That's all it is. We, again, don't pretend to have the answers. It's just speculation and
Musings.
curiosity. Musings, yes,
Musings.
absolutely.
So this video is going to be called 404 File Not Found and Musings.
Yes.
So, thanks for listening. Ta-ta for now.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Just got to turn it off now. And, ooh.